And even though Kody and I have our big differences, in that moment, we were just parents.
This episode hits differently. It's not the usual family drama or conflicts we expect from Sister Wives. This time, it's about something so much heavier: loss. The loss of Garrison Brown. And the whole episode feels like stepping into a house filled with silence and sorrow, where every corner echoes with memories and regrets. Right from the start, you can feel the weight pressing down on the family. There's no sugarcoating it. This is heartbreak laid bare. We first see Janelle, and the pain in her eyes is impossible to ignore. She's trying to hold herself together, but it's clear she's breaking inside. Her voice trembles as she talks about the small, everyday things that now hurt so deeply. The boots Garrison left by the door. The cat who still waits for him in his empty room. These things remind her of what she's lost, and the absence is almost unbearable. Janelle's grief is so raw because it's not just about losing a son, it's about losing the future she hoped for him, the chance to see him grow, change, and heal. She admits she thought things were getting better, that he was finding his way, but now that hope feels shattered. Christine is there too, sharing in the heartbreak. Her grief is quieter, but no less deep. She speaks softly about how she watched Garrison grow up, from a shy little boy to a young man trying to find his place. She says he was strong, but sometimes, the strongest people carry the heaviest burdens. You see the regret in her eyes, the wish that maybe she could have done more, been there more. One of the most painful things revealed in this episode is the distance that had grown between Garrison and his father, Kody. Janelle tells us they hadn't spoken in months. Garrison wanted to reach out, to mend the broken relationship, but Kody stayed distant. That silence between father and son is haunting now because it's permanent. The what if lingers in every moment. Gabriel, Garrison's brother, shares his own heartbreak. He recalls the last message he got. A simple, loving text. "Love you, bro." Gabriel didn't reply until the next morning, but by then it was too late. The guilt in his voice is real and raw. It's the kind of pain many of us know, missing the chance to say the things that matter. Throughout the episode, the family struggles to hold on to each other while being pulled apart by grief and regret. Janelle confronts Kody about not being there for Garrison. Kody admits he thought his son wanted nothing to do with him, and that he was trying to respect that. But now, that distance feels like a wound that will never heal. The silence is deafening. There are moments where words fail, where all that's left is tears and heavy breaths. The episode shows how much damage silence can do in a family, that sometimes love isn't enough if it's buried under walls of misunderstanding. Janelle's heartbreak is especially hard to watch because it's layered with guilt. She admits she missed signs, that she believed Garrison was doing better, but sometimes pain hides itself well, and even those who love you most don't see it until it's too late. Christine comforts her, and their bond feels like a fragile lifeline amid the chaos. They mourn not only Garrison but the family they once were, a family that, despite its many flaws, was always connected. Mary and Robyn have smaller moments in this episode, but their grief is sincere. Mary talks about how this loss has exposed the cracks in the family. She wonders if the distance and pain will ever be repaired. Robyn openly cries, expressing how much she wishes she could have been a better support to Garrison and to the family during this time. The episode paints a deeply human picture of grief, how it touches every corner of a family's life, how it exposes the vulnerabilities and fractures beneath the surface. Janelle walks through the house, touching Garrison's things, and says, "If I move something, it will feel like I'm letting him go." It's a heartbreaking moment that shows how tightly memory and love are intertwined. This is not just a story about death. It's about the silence that can kill relationships. It's about the walls we build around ourselves and how sometimes those walls keep out the very people we need most. Watching this episode feels like stepping into a family's most private sorrow. It reminds us how fragile life is, how important it is to reach out, to speak up, and to hold on to the people we love before it's too late. This episode is a heartbreaking, honest look at the consequences of distance, the pain of regret, and the devastating impact of losing someone before the chance for healing can come. It leaves you with a deep sadness but also a crucial lesson. Love requires effort, communication, and sometimes the courage to break through silence. As the episode continues, the weight of grief becomes even more intense, and the cracks in the family's relationships come into sharper focus. It's clear that Garrison's passing has done more than just leave a hole in their hearts. It has brought years of pain, misunderstandings, and silence to the surface in a way that's impossible to ignore. We watch as the family gathers, not in celebration or togetherness, but in shared sorrow. The tension is thick, and every interaction feels fragile. Janelle and Christine lean on each other, two mothers united by loss, but also by a complicated history that this tragedy has forced them to confront. Janelle admits to feeling like she failed, not because she didn't love Garrison, but because she missed the signs of how deeply he was struggling. She talks about the difficult balance of giving him space while wanting to protect him, and how sometimes that line is impossible to walk. Her voice cracks as she says she thought he was getting better, that he was working, planning, moving forward. But grief is tricky. It can hide behind smiles and plans. Christine reflects quietly on the nature of grief itself, how it can be so silent, so invisible, especially when it's wrapped in strength and stoicism. She talks about how sometimes the strongest people are the ones who carry the heaviest burdens, and how Garrison was trying to do just that. Her sorrow feels deep and personal, like she's mourning not only the loss but the silence that kept her from helping him. Meanwhile, Mary and Robyn also express their pain and regret. Mary speaks about the fractured nature of their family now, the emotional distance that has grown over time, and how this tragedy exposes it in a painful, unavoidable way. She wonders if there's any way to repair those broken connections, or if the wounds are too deep. Robyn, in tears, admits she wishes she had done more to support Garrison, to reach out and bridge the gaps that had formed. Her grief is raw, and her words carry the weight of regret that so many in the family share. There's a heartbreaking honesty in her admission. Sometimes love isn't enough to overcome years of hurt and silence. One of the most difficult moments comes when Janelle confronts Kody. She tells him how much Garrison needed him, how much the silence between them hurt. Kody admits that he thought Garrison didn't want to hear from him, that he was respecting boundaries. But now, faced with this loss, he realizes that those assumptions cost him dearly. Their conversation is filled with remorse and sorrow, but also a desperate hope for understanding. Gabriel shares his own story of regret. The last message from Garrison, a simple "love you bro," that now feels like a missed opportunity. He talks about how he didn't reply until the next morning, only to find out that Garrison was gone. The pain in his voice is so real it's almost unbearable. It's a reminder of how fragile life is, and how important it is to say what we mean when we have the chance. Throughout the episode, the family struggles to hold on to each other even as grief threatens to pull them apart. There's a moment when Janelle walks through the house, touching Garrison's things, and she says, "If I move something, it feels like I'm letting him go." That line speaks volumes about the way grief can make us cling to memory, and how hard it is to face the reality of loss. The episode also explores the deeper ongoing struggle of healing. Christine talks about how grief doesn't have an end date. It's something you carry with you every day, learning to live with the pain rather than overcoming it. Her words are a sobering reminder that healing is a journey, not a destination. Mary expresses hope that maybe this tragedy can be a catalyst for change, that the family might find a way back to each other through shared sorrow. Robyn echoes this, saying that while the wounds are fresh, there's still a chance for connection and forgiveness if they choose to reach for it. The episode ends on a note that's both painful and hopeful. It's clear the Browns have been changed forever, but there's a sense that with time and effort, healing might be possible. They have to face the truth of their past, confront their regrets, and try to build something new from the pieces. Watching this episode is difficult, but it's also deeply important. It reminds us that behind the reality TV cameras are real people facing unimaginable pain. It shows the power of grief to break us down, but also the possibility for it to bring us back together. Ultimately, this episode of Sister Wives is a powerful reminder of how crucial communication and connection are in any family. It teaches us that love alone is not enough. It takes effort, understanding, and the courage to face hard truths to truly heal. And in that struggle, there is hope. As we reach the final moments of this episode, the Brown family is left to confront the reality that their grief is just the beginning of a long and difficult journey. The loss of Garrison is a wound that runs deep, and it has forced every member to face uncomfortable truths about their relationships, communication, and the fractures that have grown over time. Janelle's sorrow feels endless. She speaks about the emptiness that fills the house, how every room holds a memory of her son. She talks about how hard it is to move on when it feels like moving on means forgetting. But she also acknowledges that she has to find a way to live with this pain, to carry Garrison's memory forward in a way that honors him and keeps his spirit alive. Kody, too, reveals a vulnerability we don't often see. He talks about the weight of regret, the moments he wishes he could take back. He admits that he was trying to protect himself from more pain by keeping his distance, but now that distance has left a permanent scar. His grief is quiet but intense, and it's clear he's struggling with how to make amends, not just with his children but with himself. Christine reflects on what it means to forgive others, but also to forgive ourselves for the things we wish we had done differently. She says that grief can sometimes teach us the most important lessons about love and family. It teaches us that holding on to anger and resentment only deepens the wounds, and that healing comes from opening our hearts, even when it hurts. Mary and Robyn express a shared hope that this tragedy will be a turning point. Mary talks about wanting to rebuild bridges, and to find new ways to support each other, even when it feels difficult or uncomfortable. Robyn echoes this, saying that love is complicated, but it's also what holds families together, even when everything else seems to be falling apart. The episode closes on a bittersweet note. The Browns don't have all the answers, and they don't pretend that healing will be easy or quick. But there is a sense of determination, a quiet hope that through honesty, vulnerability, and effort, they can find a way back to each other. Watching this episode is a reminder of the fragility of life and relationships. It's a powerful lesson about the importance of reaching out, speaking up, and not letting silence destroy what matters most. The Browns' story is a painful one, but it's also a story of resilience and the possibility of redemption. In the end, this episode is about more than just loss. It's about the choices we make in the face of grief, whether we let it tear us apart or bring us together. It's about how families can struggle, falter, and still find ways to heal. This is Sister Wives at its most honest and raw, a look at real pain, real regret, and real hope for the future. And as viewers, we are reminded that behind every story like this are people who are trying their best, who are broken and healing, and who still hold on to love even when it's hard.